Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to the Starcraft 2 Ownage Shack. You're tuning in to Game 3 of a best of 3 series between DuckloadRa, the Red Protoss here at the top left position of Scrap Station, and he's going to be facing off for the third time against mouzNaama, the Green Terran, here at the opposite position. We'll call it position 2 of Scrap Station. Both of these players just played some exciting games. In both games we saw the Terran player, Naama, do an impressive timing push versus DuckloadRa. One time it succeeded, and the other time it was completely devastated. So I'm interested to see what they will do on this map, Scrap Station, a very unique map. It has a very unique playstyle, in fact, just because of the very close distances by air and the massive distances by ground. We can see that is a long way around if you want to do a ground push until you get these destructible destructible rocks out of the way. There is no way you can launch a successful ground attack. It's going to take a little bit longer than it might on shorter maps, especially those of the likes of Steppes of War, Xel'Naga Caverns. These are much different maps in terms of the way they're usually played out. So far we see very standard play from both players. It's going to be a gateway here from DuckloadRa. At the same time we have Naama getting his barracks. The refinery is going down after the barracks at 13 supply, so we see standard play from both players. A scout is going out for Naama across the map, going to sweep by the Xel'Naga watchtower. You really don't have a choice on this map, although that is something you'll want to do anyways. We don't have a scout going out for DuckloadRa quite yet. Looks like he's just going to be using all of his workers to mine the gas and minerals for now. His gateway just completes the moment the SCV comes in here. Going to see what's going on and going to be pretty happy that no cheese is coming. Generally speaking, this is a less cheesy map. If you're playing as Protoss, it's pretty tough to get the probe over there in time, and then at the same time you don't really have a very massive base where you can put stuff. I guess here's a decent spot, but really the only spot you gotta worry about is right here. But a smart player will actually run an SCV or probe or drone up here to check for any cheese before they carry out their usual strategy. These two players are not going to be doing that. We don't see cheese too often between these players. DuckloadRa is a very good player, very standard, respected because of that, although I think cheese is a respectable strategy in its own right. Same thing with Naama. Haven't seen too much cheese out of him in the games I've seen. Looks like we're going to be seeing standard play, and once again we have the factory going up after the barracks, the tech lab on the first barracks, so completely normal here. Exact same build from DuckloadRa so far. We have well, actually, speaking of builds, the probe, which consequently has nothing to do with builds, but whatever, I'll roll with it anyways. The probe actually sweeps by the southern Xel'Naga watchtower. Pretty interesting. Maybe he was worried about some kind of cheese or hidden expansions. Very interested to see why players send their probes out, or drones, or SCVs in the certain places they do. Looks like he's going to get sniped off by the two Marines who were smartly sent out here. Going to be joined by the beefy Marauder, going to do some pushing action, but like I said, on Scrap Station it's pretty tough to do that, especially because of the long rush distances, sorry guys, and because by the time you get there he's going to have a lot more units than you'd normally expect. We see the sentries almost out, which is going to be able to lay down some force fields. One gateway's going up, one robo's going up, same build again from DuckloadRa. He's chrono boosting out the warp gate research, putting another gateway down. I'd really like to see some diversity in the builds here. We do have another starport going down, so we're going to see the 111 by mouzNaama here. At the same time, he's going to try pushing up here, but we can see it's nicely choked off. Going to go for the Zealot first, which is a wise choice. He does tons of damage. The Hellion takes him out, and it looks like he's actually going to do some considerable damage here with this beautiful timing push. Takes out all of the units, and now only the probes are left, but I feel... never mind, he's going for the Observer first, so that is not a fighting unit. The probes should be able to clean this up, however. I know I've been in this spot myself. I get all excited that I've done tons of damage by pushing up with that early force, and then they all get slaughtered by a bunch of peons. So, looks like that's going to be the same story here. We have Cloak going down for Naama with a Banshee in production. Takes 2 Banshee times for the Cloak to come out, so usually you will push out when you get 2, cloak them up, and just do some massive damage here at the mineral line of your opposing player. Especially effective on this map due to these short air distances I talked about earlier. We do have the typical bunker going down, which is a very wise choice when you're hard teching like this to something. Looks like he's queuing out the Banshee. Probably a good idea not to do that. Those are 100 gas and 150 Vespene. You could put to something else. Ooh, a very nice pylon placement here by DuckloadRa. Going to be up on this high ground here. It's very nice actually, because he can not only warp in units way closer to the opposing player's base, he can also spot when a rush is coming. So I really like that play. And SCV actually sneaks in here and is going to see the expansion, which is kind of unfortunate. As we can see here, he's not going to be doing the timing push. Instead, he just throws down an expo of his own. Probably not so enthused about that strategy. Ooh, he had those Marines. Oh, beautiful placement by Naama. He had the Marines in advance right there, and he was watching, waiting for that observer to come in so he could scan immediately and take it out. That was very impressive. I have not seen that play before, and it looks like the second one is going to be forced to take over the first one's job. He is going to see everything in here because now the Marines are unfortunately out of position. Going to be checking out by the rocks there. The observer quickly pokes in. Looks like DuckloadRa has learned his lesson the first time. Doesn't want to get scanned out and lose 100 gas on an observer again. The Banshee is now out, and it is queued up along a somewhat strange pattern here. Looks like he's going to cancel that. I do agree with that decision. Looks like we don't see two Banshees at the same... Oh, sorry. He's already gone in with the first and is sneaking around with the second. The first one racks up 7 kills while being cloaked by coming in from the south here, is forcing them to actually spread out. We can see that the Banshee is going to be doing some damage versus the destructible rocks here. Meanwhile, he's forcing some stalkers to be left here with an observer. This Banshee is over here, runs out of energy. I would have liked to see him decloak that to save some energy. Gonna go by that pylon. I'm wondering if DuckloadRa saw. He indeed did. The stalker comes over, but he quickly turns on his cloak, her cloaking field, turns it off to save some energy. Nice to see that. This Banshee's going to try to do some more damage, but does get repelled by the 2 stalkers here with the observer. We see siege tanks are now coming out for Naama, along with Stim, and the siege mode is already upgraded, which you can see here. You're going to do 50 damage to anything that comes in this massive 13 range, I believe. Yes, that is indeed the case. This Banshee is just going to be patrolling around the map to see any kind of hidden expos. Doesn't want to get owned by something like that. We see this Zealot Immortal mix again from DuckloadRa with a couple stalkers for Banshee protection. Looks very reminiscent of the first game on Xel'Naga Caverns that we saw. The 2 Banshees are still just sort of just patrolling around everywhere. It's nice to see that he has repaired them, and looks like this one's going to be coming back for some maintenance as well. Meanwhile, at DuckloadRa's base, he has 2 of the gas up. Not going to get the 4th gas here, getting the 3rd though, and more stalkers and observers are left here to protect against the Banshees, but it appears that he's given up on this for now. He's just going to maybe do a frontal assault with these 4 Banshees now. I really would have liked to see these 2 repaired. That would have been pretty nice to see. And he's going to come down here. It looks like there's only 2 stalkers, and Banshees are going to destroy stalkers in this number. One immediately gets sniped out, and the probes are forced to move to the expo. This pylon is going to get quickly sniped as well, and the Twilight Council could actually go down. An unfortunate placing of this tech structure right in the path of the Banshees, and the observer is going to be here. It looks like Naama is aware of that. Meanwhile, a Phoenix is out. Very nice. There's nothing the Banshees can do against this, and it does do bonus damage versus light. We can see 10 damage there. He's really got to cloak those and try and outrun the observer, which Banshees can do before he loses another. Ooh, ouch, dangerous play. A 3rd one goes down, and this Banshee actually might be the sole survivor. Yes. Ooh, that was actually quite ugly. We saw a shift of power when the stalker was taken out and the probes were forced to move out, but then after that it kind of evened out, as we can see here by the units lost tab. Once that Banshee was sniped, all 3 of them went down. Only 1 remains. Pretty ugly play. I would have liked to see some better control by Naama, but that's okay. At least he was keeping up on his macro through all this. We see